last time I told you last month with Libra that I'm very biased because I've got a lot of Libra and so on and so forth. Well, this time you can multiply that by 10, the same argument. But even though maybe I'm not going to be so convincing, but if there is an energy in the whole 12-fold zodiac that I really am, I mean, for good or for bad, extremely connected to and very affected by, this is the Scorpio energy archetype. I'm a double Scorpio. I got both my sun and moon, the two luminaries together in the same sign. It's a new moon situation, even though they're not conjunct. My Venus is there, my Pluto is there, my Mercury is there. And also, I think my Eros is there as well. If we start going into the smaller bodies, outside of the planets, there may be other things. But what is this? 5 planets out of 10 I've got in Scorpio. My Neptune is in the 8th house together with Ceres, exactly conjunct. And there is a possibility Uranus maybe in the 8th as well. So there is a very clear message somehow in my chart that I need to pay very special attention to this energy and try to understand it. And funny enough, when I was preparing for those talks so far, this is the energy that I felt like I understand the least. And I felt very confused because I was thinking some of those traits that we're going to talk about shortly, are they really what they are? What I think they are? Or is it me trying to shift things around to, to excuse some of my own thoughts and behavior and reactions to other people and the world and so on? So I try to rely mostly on what others are saying, what authors are saying about it. If Scorpio has messed it up very much, especially in its relationships, it can get into such despondency and such depression that only the regenerative power of the phoenix could take it out of it and help it eventually start again and believe in life again. Maybe together with Capricorn, this is the most depressive and gloomy sign. What comes hand in hand with this energy is that you are inevitably going to be given difficult situations. Everybody's tragedies will be shared with you. Everybody's secrets, the same way as people want to hide from Scorpios, and sometimes they ghost them out of the blue without reason, just because it's too intense and too uncomfortable to be in their presence. At the same time, they are, and I'll move on to the next one because that's what I'm talking about, they are very often in the position of the best psychologist if they have worked more on the positive qualities of that energy than on the negative. Knowing that I have so much of this energy in my chart was a very big, reason why I decided to give astrology a chance, because it's psychological. It allows and includes the possibility to work with people and they are intimate issues. And I felt like I can provide a safe space for that because I'm genuinely interested in these things. And funny enough, as hard a thing as someone may share with me and this way burden me with their secret or sometimes their crime or whatever, I have a kind of enjoyment as well, like receiving that information, because Scorpio needs to swim in that sea and it regenerates itself. It gets energy, especially Sun in Scorpio, requires psychological communication and exchange in order to feel alive and to feel like it's doing something positive and something valuable. It is attuned to the possibility of regeneration, of solving problems, of overcoming and kind of emptying some sort of dirt that has been accumulated, removing fallacies and leading then a life which is more authentic and more truthful. All sorts of things like this. It is idealizing those topics. I am idealizing those topics, I admit it. And it took me a very long time to realize that as much as I need to keep doing that and not become something different, I should not demand this from everybody, at least not all the time. And people should be led to travel their own path to get in a very timely way. And astrology can show us with the transits and the progressions and other techniques of timing, when is it a good time for someone to be pushed and urged and encouraged and helped to go there, and when not. The kind of failure that Scorpio is really, really triggered by is when the other person is given the tools, they've got the freedom, they've got the choice, they've got everything they need. The only thing that's standing between them and the solution of their own problem is themselves. But they refuse to work on themselves. They refuse to look for help, information. Doesn't matter, it may be different ways that this person could approach the issue, but the lack of desire and the obstinacy of not wanting to work psychologically, let's say not wanting to individuate, not wanting to face their own darkness. We can give it all sorts of names that various disciplines are trying to give us a solution for. But at the end of the day, it's about courage. And here is where Mars comes into the picture. Courage. That's what's necessary in order to go and take a walk in the realm of the 8th house, where all the ghosts live, where all the demons, reside. To go there, you need to be courageous. And human nature is such that most of us are not courageous, at least not most of the time. And Scorpio hates that, hates the fear and the weakness inside itself and inside others. And when it spots it, it is capable of abandoning the person, totally like closing the door, if it sees or perceives that there is no desire on the other side to work through the issues. And here is something Scorpio has to learn tolerance, because not everybody is supposed to be doing this. Not everybody is ready to be doing this. And we often become very aggressive in our, because it's got this penetrating insight, as I say here, of what is it that you're hiding? Where is your real soft spot? What is your greatest vulnerability? Scorpio has an intuition about that. And if it's not tolerant, it may hit you very hard. It can hurt you very much by telling you something extremely cool, where actually it wasn't deserved and it wasn't appropriate. It doesn't solve anything this way. It doesn't help you this way. It simply shocks you and gets you even more into your own hole where it thinks you are in. And that's something that I always try to remind myself, especially with close people, because it's relatively easy to restrain yourself with strangers or with clients that you're not emotionally connected to. Here is the point: emotionally connected. Once Scorpio is emotionally connected to someone, immediately this desire to play out the so-called soulmate ideal, or the total merging with another, the exchange emotionally, and so on and so forth, is activated. And if you are dealing with your mother, with your children, with your husband, then it's very difficult to restrain yourself and not to become too intense with them.